Slowly in my tracksuit, I crept out of the house, but out of nowhere, my mom stopped me at the door. "You are not allowed to go to that party." I quickly covered my eyes in panic. "Don't try to read my mind anymore. I'm just going to the pool." "Show me your bag." She forcefully grabbed the bag in my hand, even though I tried to hold it back. Then the bag burst open, causing my miniskirt, my high heels, and makeup to fall to the ground. I quickly grabbed them and sprinted out of the house while my mom was constantly shouting, "I know too well what you think. Stop being rebellious." Hi, I'm Max, and as you can see, I tend to go against everything my mom said because she was a control freak, and worse than that, she had a very special ability. Since my parents divorced, my mom has become so difficult and grumpy. Every time I went out, I had to turn on my phone's location so she could know where I was, and she would call every hour to check on me. What's more, she even wanted to control my relationships. Once, when I was celebrating my birthday with my friends, she suddenly appeared and dragged me home. When I resisted, Mom was so furious that she threw the whole birthday cake that my friends prepared for me to the ground. "Why would you want to hang out and be a failure like these uneducated kids?" Hearing that, they responded angrily. "Fine, we guarantee Max will never see us losers in the future." No matter how much I apologized to them, they all left me alone. From then on, I was known as a mama girl at school. When I came to the cafeteria, a group of blondies looked at me and smirked. "Max is here. Let's be quiet so the baby girl can eat. Won't your mom come to feed you, Max?" I was so embarrassed that I had to leave. Since I had no friends, I could only pour it out in my diary. I felt so pitiful. One day after school, Johnny, a classmate, suddenly confessed his feelings to me. At first, I thought it was a cruel joke because he was an infamous delinquent in school. However, his free-spirited smile piqued my curiosity, so I agreed to go out with him. He often took me out with his buddies. They looked kind of scary, but it was surprisingly refreshing being with them. However, that joy didn't last long when my mom found out about it. One time, when I was sitting on the back of Johnny's bike, Mom saw me and angrily demanded I go home, but I simply ignored her. Seeing that, she tried to run after me when suddenly, No! Mom! A car going in the opposite direction hit her. Fortunately, her condition was not too severe. After a few days in the hospital, she gradually recovered and was discharged. She had to rest at home for a full week after that. However, she seemed to have become a completely different person. Mom became much more gentle and stopped controlling my life. It made me so shocked and beyond happy. But one morning, she suddenly looked me in the eye and asked, "Max, did you wear a torn swimsuit at school yesterday?" I was so surprised that I dropped my spoon. I had been running around the pool all day before I discovered there was a big hole in my swimsuit's back. "How do you know? Are you following me?" "Max, listen. After the accident, it seems like I can read people's minds." How ridiculous! I thought my mom had grown a funny bone, but then in the afternoon, when I came home from school, she asked, "How's your dance competition? Remember not to let it affect your studies." Oh shoot! I did attend a hip-hop competition that day, and I didn't even tell Johnny about it. After being surprised, I turned to panic. So it was true that my mom can read minds? What a disaster! The next day, when I was about to leave, she screamed, "Max, be back early today. Stop following Johnny and his bad friends." "Mom, Johnny is a good guy." Then an idea flashed my mind. "How about I bring him to you so you can read his mind?" Hearing that, she excitedly told me to take him home. So, after class, I invited Johnny over to my place. He was surprised and quickly agreed. Everything went so well, but unexpectedly, after that night dinner, Mom said, "Max, break up with him. In his filthy mind, you're only a fool who follows him like a puppy." Really? He's malicious and two-faced like Amber Heard, and it was as obvious as Johnny Depp was going to win against her. What she said shattered my tiny heart. Because I completely trusted her ability to read minds, I broke up with Johnny. But soon enough, I came to learn that my trust was horribly misplaced. That day, my school held a camping trip, so I went home quite late. Mom asked me if the picnic was fun, and I looked at her. Why don't you just read my mind? Wow, it seems amazing. You guys have so many activities. Oh, come on. You see how lame it was and still think it's fun? My camping trip was a disaster because our bus's tire was punctured, the sky was pouring, and we were dead stuck in the tents. Mom smiled and said that she just wanted to cheer me up. Another time, I had to stay up very late to do chemistry homework. The next morning, when my mom questioned my sluggishness, I joked with her that, yeah, I couldn't help it. That new Minions movie was so dope, I watched it all night. Jeez, I know, Max. I'm seeing those little yellow monsters running in your minds right now. I was frozen in place. Is my mom's ability weakening? That night, I wrote in my diary that I wanted an English breakfast. And the very next morning, a breakfast of tea with white beans and sausages appeared on the table. I finally understood everything. There was no mind reading ability in the first place. What she read was my diary. Perhaps during the week she stayed at home after getting discharged, she found it beneath my mattress. The first thing I did after realizing the truth was apologize to Johnny and ask him to come back. But sadly, he refused to. I got my heart broken again, and it was all because of my mom and her lie. I decided to teach her a lesson. I wrote in my diary that on Sunday, my school was going to have another camp trip, and I would love to have my mom there. I wished we could both put on animal suits together. The next morning, I stood at the school gate waiting to see my mom's embarrassment. Suddenly, Johnny wrote his murder bite to me and said that he had forgiven me. Thank God. Johnny, I knew you would come back. Then he asked me to hang out with him like I used to, and I quickly agreed. But that time, he took me to a dirty, abandoned house. There were his buddies who were smoking, and it was Purple Palm Tree Delight? Seriously? That brand exists? Then Johnny put his arm around my shoulder and gloatingly said to them,
Told ya, it would only take a week for this chick to come crawling back to me. Now give me the money.
What the frog? So he was just as bad as my mom said? Johnny handed me a glass of cheap wine.
Come on, babe, let's celebrate.
I was about to run away when he violently pulled me back. At that moment, a giant golden duck appeared out of nowhere and shoved Johnny. It grabbed my hand and ran away. It was Mom! She said that she saw me get on his bike, so she hurriedly chased after me. After we were both safe, I told her all the truth, that I knew she was reading my diary and I was trying to get revenge on her. At first, she seemed surprised to hear it, but then she sincerely apologized to me for lying and being too controlling. But how did you know Johnny was bad? Well, call it a mother's intuition. It's not so different from reading minds. We laughed and realized that both of us should talk and understand each other more.
Hi everyone, my name is Dariana. I have super shiny hair. My mom's always admired it as the host of her own author's program on a popular TV channel about beauty and health. She knew a lot about it. My mother used to say that my hair was unique, that it looked as if it was on the cover of a shampoo commercial magazine without any special care. That's right, I didn't sweat it. But you know, by my mom's standards, having just beautiful hair is negligible. She's always had high standards, and this applied to everyone. That's how she lived her life, trying to make me as perfect as my hair. And look what came of it. But first, please like and post in the comments. If you were given a choice to make one part of your body the most beautiful, what would you choose? My mother was quite popular. She was well known and respected by many for her character, beauty, and intelligence, and she always knew what she wanted. She had been running her show successfully for 8 years, and just imagine, over those years, she never once showed me to her colleagues, never introduced me to the public. Even the media couldn't find out who her daughter was. Mom has always excused herself by saying that she separates her personal life from her work, and that she didn't want to violate my boundaries. Like, when I grow up, I'll choose to be famous or not. But in fact, the truth was hidden for other reasons, and I'll tell you what it was. It was an ordinary morning, one of those mornings that often happened in my life. I woke up, washed my face, and went down to the kitchen to have breakfast. Hi, Dariana, how did you sleep, baby? Let's get on the scale. What? Again? We weighed in 2 weeks ago. Yeah, but I have to check. I got up on the scale and was horrified to see over a pound? Dariana, aren't you on a diet? I told you, you're about to meet my audience and coworkers. How could you do this to me? You know I want to finally show you to the public, but I can't do it when you're like this. I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't eat. I don't know how it happened. Forgive me. Get out. Get out of the kitchen. And I don't want you to ever set foot in here, you understand? From now on, you will eat 1 green apple a day. We need an emergency weight loss. I told you to weigh no more than 50 pounds. At 5'10", 900 grams is a lot of weight. This was not my first strict diet. I didn't eat more often than I did eat, and I was still far from my mom's dream figure. I ate 1 apple at a time, just like she told me to. After 4 days, I passed out in the middle of the street. Good thing I was near a hospital. When I woke up, there was a guy in a white coat next to me. It was as if I'd seen an angel, so handsome in a white mask, gloves, and a robe. He started talking to me, asking my name and age, and so on. I answered all the questions because it wasn't the first time. When I felt better, he introduced himself to me as Dr. Mike, allowing me to call him by his first name only. I know you. You're Miss Stacy Green's daughter. What? No, that's a mistake. I'm not her daughter. Come on, don't you remember me? I furrowed my brow and squinted my eyes, and then he got into a stand-up, kind of sitting at the register position, and yes, that's right. Oh my God, this was the same Mikey, the son of our neighbor, the grocery store owner. Have you forgotten the time I secretly lent you groceries? How could I forget? I still haven't paid you back. You have the same gorgeous hair, and you've lost a lot of weight. Well, it's not the same as when I was a kid, but I'm not skinny either. You're anorexic. You're in great shape, but you're even skinnier. My advice to you as a doctor is not to torture yourself with diets. Well, when have you eaten last? Have you been drinking water? I left his question unanswered, then asked him not to tell my mother about my hunger fainting, and not to tell anyone at all. Nothing. I got up and walked out of the hospital, but Mikey yelled after me. My dad found out about the debts and kicked me out of the store and then out of the house. He thought I gave everything away to beggars and punished me. And now I'm the doctor I always wanted to be. I mean, maybe it's all the best. Well, for a meeting. That was nice, but I didn't respond. I just walked away. I was prescribed a bunch of medication, which of course I did not buy. I did not tell my mother what happened to me at all, so as not to upset her unnecessarily. I went to a cafe, ordered an ice water, and went to the bathroom while they were taking my order. I had terrible pain in my stomach. While I was sitting there, I heard some girls talking. Tanya, are you sick? Why did you throw up? Poison? Oh, no, I'm just on a diet. What do you mean? Well, you eat a lot and then you put 2 fingers in your mouth and that's it. You're tricking your brain. You're kind of full, so you don't want to eat, but you have 0 calories. Wow, that works. I lost 6 pounds in a week. The girls came out, and I suddenly thought, 2 cheeseburgers, fries, and cheese sauce. I was already ordering after 5 minutes. At first, I exhaled, looking at the burgers. After all, I'd wanted to eat them for so long, but couldn't afford them. I remembered the girls talking. Nothing will happen. I'll lose weight in a week and then I'll stop doing it, start my diet again, and everything will be fine. I made a promise to myself. I ate and ate my fill, literally ate my entire order in 10 minutes. So I lost 6 kilos in a week, and my mother was very happy with the result. She immediately held a broadcast with my participation and introduced me to the audience in a custom-made dress. She talked about my hair, figure, and what a perfect daughter I was. The only thing, as I had big bags under my eyes and pain in my stomach, that's bullshit. But I tolerated it. After the broadcast, we were invited to a dinner party at my mother's boss's house. His wife cooked a wonderful meal. I couldn't eat a bite of it. I felt sick, but I tried not to show it. I apologized, said I was tired, and called Mikey myself. He was home, but he came to get me and took me straight to the hospital. He asked what I ate and how I ate, but I didn't tell him the truth. I just asked him to prescribe something for my stomach and let me go. I also refused to be examined, although he insisted. Look, I'm tired. I want to go home. Okay, I'll give you some painkillers, but please, eat. I went home, and after taking my medicine, I fell asleep. The next day, my mom ran into my room and told me that we were invited to a social dinner. Oh, there will be so many people there. After yesterday's broadcast, everyone wants to meet you. You're in great shape, so you can eat. You have my permission. Get dressed. Here's what to wear, said my mother. She didn't even notice how bad I felt, but I didn't want to spoil her mood and ruin the event, so I went along with her, smiling and saying hello to everyone. The attacks of pain got a little worse, and then I drank the medicine in the bathroom. Finally, we sat down at the table. There was a lot of food, and I felt hungry. If my mother let me eat, it was a good chance to eat with a clear conscience, wasn't it? And then the operators came in. Oh, these are my guys. Feel free. I thought, what if we capture this moment and share it with our viewers? Let them see how beautiful our meetings are and what we talk about, right? All the guests supported her idea. Everyone wanted to promote themselves at her expense. Mom lightly pressed my back to keep my posture up. I picked up the cutlery, and the waiter put a fish steak with rice and spinach on my plate. It looked delicious, and it smelled divine. Just as I was about to cut off a piece, my mother said to me, "Eat it, daughter. Just eat less than half, okay?" She said it in my ear, but with such firmness and coldness. I felt so sad and disgusted at that moment. All these people around her, they were supposedly chatting with each other while fixing their ties and hairstyles. And my mom, she didn't care about any of them, or even me. She just wanted to hype up what a great mom she was. Your daughter has just gorgeous hair and such an amazing figure. You're doing great, Dariana. You're very lucky to have such a mom, is what I heard. In anger, I clutched the cutlery in my hand and cut off a huge piece of fish and shoved it into my mouth, then spooned the rice. All the guests froze, and my mother watched in horror as I ate my portion quickly. We're not in a rush, honey. I'm hungry. The guests laughed, and my mom kicked me in the leg under the table and showed the cameraman out the room. I finished every bit of it while everyone was watching. Then I pounced on fruit, sweets, and other salads. I ate with my hands like a pig, but I couldn't stop. My mother reprimanded and then yelled, and then her boss's wife came up to me. She gave me a tissue and asked if I wanted to go to the bathroom. But at that moment, it was as if I had some sort of reflex to the word toilet, and in an instant, I threw up everything I ate right on that woman. There was silence at the table. That nice lady was wiping her dress with a napkin she was offering me. I looked at everyone and ran out of there in shame. I went straight to the hospital to see Mikey. What's wrong with me? I thought so. You're bulimic. What is that? It's dangerous. It can open up internal bleeding. You could die, Dariana. You need to be treated. What? I couldn't believe I'd brought myself to this state. I sat down in the chair and Mikey brought me some water. He was trying to calm me down, and that's when my mom ran in. She was screaming at the whole room that I was embarrassing her, that I was a shitty daughter, and then she swung and wanted to slap me, but Mikey caught her hand. He chased her out of the room. What? It's all my fault? Is it a crime to be pretty? Your daughter has a serious health problem. Any girl would want to be in her place. Mikey was unceremonious, showed his phone, and said that he filmed everything on camera, and if she would not leave, he'll put it all on the network and my diagnosis with pictures too. Anyway, what now? I'm in therapy. My mom doesn't touch me, and I realize that beauty doesn't really require sacrifices. Because if you're happy on the inside, you're beautiful automatically.